Hi, everybody. So today we're going to do the lesson on how can we use the number of moles to predict the concentration or volume of an unknown solution. So by the end of today's class, you guys will be able to identify the acid, the concentration of the acid, and the volume of the acid, as well as the identity, concentration, and volume of the base. So you guys will do the do now problems. So titration, what is titration? Titration is a chemical process in which a base is reacted with an acid to form a neutralization reaction. We learned neutralization reactions last week. Acid plus base equals water plus salt. But in titration, there's actual calculations, and it's done to figure out the unknown concentration. What's important about titrations is that the endpoint of a titration occurs when the number of moles of acid is equal to the number of moles of the base. So that's the important thing. When the number of moles of the acid and the number of moles of the base are equal, then you have an endpoint. That's your titration. So the formula for titration is located in table T. This is table T, back of your reference table, and it's right here. And it states that the molarity of the acid times the volume of the acid is equal to the molarity of the base times the volume of the base. If we go back to what we learned last week, right? Last week, we learned that molarity is equal to the number of moles divided by the liters of solution. So if we do molarity, if we rearrange the formula and we do molarity times the volume, liters, then we get moles. So basically, in the titration, when we get the molarity times the volume, we're really calculating the moles of the acid. And when we do the molarity times the volume of the base, we're really calculating the moles of the base. If we continue here, I give you a simulation. If you click that, you'll get this simulation. This simulation is basically a titration, right? Inside of here, we have an acid. And inside of here, which is HCl, by the way, the acid is HCl, it's in here. Inside of here, the burette, we have the base, which is NaOH. And basically, we're going to add an indicator, which is phenolphthalein. And that indicator is going to allow the reaction to turn pink when the number of moles of acid is equal to the number of moles of base. This will turn pink. So either way, right now, it says that we have NaOH is the base. So if we go here, which compound is the acid? Well, we said from the simulation that the acid was HCl. Right? The acid was HCl. The molarity of the acid, we don't know, because if we go here, the molarity of the acid is blank. If we come back, what is the volume of the acid? It looks like we have 10 ml. It doesn't really tell us, but it looks like it's 10 ml. It's less than 50, so we're going to say 10 ml. So we have 10 ml of the acid. When it comes to the base, it tells us here NaOH is our base because it has a metal and it ends in OH, so it must be our base. So it tells, so that's our base. So we're going to put it in here. We're going to put our base here, right? And it tells us that the molarity of our base is 0.100 molarity. What it says right here. And that basically this we don't know yet because we have to practice the titration. So I know we did this already, but I reset it. So this phenolphthalein will make this turn pink when the moles of acid is equal to the moles of base, like I said before. So let's do that. 1. So we're dropping the base slowly into the acid. This is the titration portion of it. That's what titration is. Oh, look, pink. I think we might have dropped a little too much, but pink. So we're going to say that we added 16 ml of NaOH. So that's going to be the volume because it's ml. So 16 ml. So now this is going to be our unknown. So our formula will, right here, we would have to substitute, right? We can say Ma is our unknown, X, and we multiply that by 10 ml, which is our volume of our acid. And then that will be equal to the molarity of our base, 0.100 molarity times the volume of our base. Then if we do that, we would get X times X times 10 ml is equal to, and then 0.1 times 16 ml, like we can do that here, there's a calculator, 0.100 times 10 ml, that's going to be 1. Oh, it's 16 ml, I'm sorry. 0.100 times 16 is 1.6. So this would be 1.6. And like I said, when you multiply molarity times volume, you get moles. And then we have to divide both sides by 10. So I'm going to put divided by 10 ml. And then divided by 10 ml. And I'm going to get X is equal to, and we already have 1.6 here, divided by 10 ml is going to be 0.16. And that's going to be our molarity, right? Because we already have the volume. We're looking for the molarity. So let's see if it works. It could be wrong because it doesn't seem like it wants to work for me because I have the video running. But 0.16 molarity would be the answer. That's the concentration of the acid that you titrated. If we move on to the first problem that I want us to do, practice problem 1, right? It says in a titration 5.0 ml of 2 molar NaOH. NaOH, right? That must be, it's a metal and it ends in OH. So that must be our base, right? And it tells us that we have 5 ml, 5.0 ml, and it's 2 molar, 2.0 molar, right? Solution that exactly neutralizes 10 ml of an HCl solution. HCl, it starts with H and it has a negative ion, so it must be our acid. And molarity here, we don't have it. That's our unknown again. And the volume, it says we have 10.0 ml. So once again, we have to come here. The molarity of our acid is unknown. We have 10 milliliters of it. And then that's going to be equal to the molarity of the base, which is 2.0 molar times the volume of the base, which is 5.0 milliliters. And so that would be X is equal to 10.0 ml is equal to 2 times 5 is 10. So 10 moles, because once again, molarity times volume is moles. So then we divide both sides by 10. I'm going to just draw a longer line because it makes it easier for me. We divide both sides by 10 ml, and we end up getting X is equal to 1 molarity, because we got 10 moles divided by 10 milliliters. That's 1 molarity, and that would be the answer to that question. That's the math. The other problems that you guys are going to be doing are very similar. Gave you a couple math. It's all broken down for you. And then a final question that's a little bit more harder, but not really. And it's really all broken down for you. If you have any questions, reach me on Zoom. The links are all posted on Google Classroom. Good luck and do your work.